Hello, everyone. I am Brady Briggs here for another episode of the Combat Logic. Joining me today, my co-host Justice St. Pierre. Today we're
How's
going
it going, guys?
to be talking about UFC on ESPN 30, and let's start out with the first preliminary bout. Let's see, Mano Martinez versus Guido Conetti. What can you tell us about Mano Martinez?
Super young, pretty solid prospect to be making his debut. I probably will have him in this fight just because I don't know a ton about Guido. And him being 41, Nana being 25, it's definitely one of those kind of setups to have UFC fans kind of figure out and know who, Martinez is and is going to be. So definitely one of those fights, kind of like a setup, having the old veteran go in there and be the businessman type and probably lose. But I mean, Guido's got an almost 500 record, but 41, man, he's probably tough as hell too. Like I said, I don't know too much about him really. But I do know a little bit about Martinez, and he's pretty solid, dude. He's a pretty good prospect, I think, for the UFC.
Yeah, I think this could be a coming out party for him. Now, Guido, you're right. He is tough. He's been finished in all 5 of his defeats. Only one of them was a knockout. And yeah, he is 41 years old, but I've seen him fight on all of his UFC fights. He's gone 2-4 in that time, but he's actually a pretty good fighter, especially for his age. Like, he's a lot more athletic than you would imagine he would be. And he knocked out Rafael Diaz when he was only 4-1. That's pretty crazy before he came to the UFC. And then, like, he was giving Marlon Vera a pretty good fight, too, early on. Like, he's a good fighter. He's got decent stand-up. He's actually pretty explosive, but he doesn't fight that often, and he's up there in age. So I think Mano's probably going to take it, too. But I'm excited for this one. It's a good opener, for
I
sure.
wonder if he's the oldest bantamweight. He's got to be the oldest bantamweight I've ever seen. 135, 41 years
Oh,
old.
yeah, probably.
That's
Uriah,
ancient, honestly, for a 135er.
how old was Uriah Faber when he was like 37, I think, when he came back? Yeah, he's
I
not 41
think so.
yet.
Maybe 37, 38 or something like that. No older than 40.
Yeah, he's not, I don't even think he's 41 yet. Yeah, that's crazy, man. And yeah, like I just said, he's lost 2/3 of his UFC fights, but he puts in good performances in the majority of them.
He's got to if they're keeping him around for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Second fight on the or preliminary card rather is Jamal Emmers and Pat Sabatani. Now, Sabatani's had one fight in the UFC so far where he beat Tristan Connolly, the Canadian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that beat Michel Pereira because Pereira was, being himself, expending way too much energy for no reason. Jamal Emmers is a pretty solid talent. He's the first person to beat Corey Sandhagen. He was the only person to beat Corey Sandhagen for a hot minute there. And he also fought the man in the main event, Giga Chikadze. He lost a 3-round split decision to him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is this Jamal's first fight in the UFC?
I think it's his second. It might be his third.
Okay,
I
so
think it's
yeah, I
June.
mean, he's got some really good accreditation and per se a decent resume. I mean, to lose split decision against Chikadze is definitely, it's definitely not a bad loss to
Yeah,
have
it's
on your
not easy to
record.
do.
And being the first to beat Corey, I mean, we've definitely seen the type of person Corey's grown into. He looks to be about 32 years old, so I mean, it could be not only an interesting fight, but we could see a lot more out of Jamal per se in the future.
Yeah, he's got pretty good strike. Honestly, he kind of reminds me like a featherweight Kevin Holland. The way he fights, how he's built. He's a lot like a featherweight Kevin Holland. JJ Aldrich will be fighting Vanessa Demopoulos. Do you know who Vanessa Demopoulos is?
Very vaguely. Couldn't really give you much of like a rep report on her. I certainly do know who JJ is. Definitely a person that's in one of those situations I feel like where not necessarily where a win's going to be needed. She did win her last fight, but she's definitely had a tough path. She's,
Yeah,
lost some, won some, lost some, won some, a little
awesome, good
inconsistent.
fighters.
I was about to say, but the people she has lost to are definitely one of the more respectable fighters for the
Mm-hmm.
her division for sure. I guess I'd probably just go with JJ because I'm just kind of going with what I know instead of the unknown type deal.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see. Vanessa is 6-3. She's making her UFC debut. JJ just beat Courtney Casey in her last fight, who is a 500 fighter, but she's actually pretty damn good. And She lost to Sabina Mazo by a split decision. There's another good fighter. And she was giving Macy Barber a pretty tough time early on, too, until Macy ended up finishing her. I think that was Macy's last win.
I think
actually,
so, actually.
she just beat Miranda. She didn't beat her, but
yeah, it beat.
I'm kind of glad that happened because she needed her confidence back, and Miranda Maverick ain't gonna lose any confidence over that. So,
no, that's a good point too, actually.
Next one up, this one's gonna be an interesting fight. Dustin Jacoby versus Darren Stewart. Both these guys are bangers. This is gonna be pretty good. God damn it, Dustin Jacoby took a break from MMA and went over to Glory, and he had some pretty good performances in there. He beat a couple pretty damn good kickboxers over there. And Darren Stewart, we know, hits like a truck, but he's kind of gun shy at times, anyways. How do you see this fight going?
No, I agree. As far as how I've seen the fight go, I'm just a little confused. I'm looking at the UFC event on Google right now just to keep an eye on, where we're at. And it has Dustin Jacoby at 205 and Darren Stewart at 185. And it says a light heavyweight fight, though.
Yeah, it's a light heavyweight fight. Darren Stewart.
I was just about to say, it's a light heavyweight or middleweight fight.
Yeah, Darren Stewart fluctuates between the two. He's better as a middleweight, I think. But
yeah, I was about to say, Darren at 185, I'd favor his chances, but at 205, Dustin's going to be pretty damn big for him.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, they both definitely are. They love doing barn burner type fights, just kind of scrapping it out. I probably edge it towards Dustin just due to natural size, as far as what they're actually going to be weighing in there. But that could also hinder him, and Darren could have the better cardio too. So it's one of those toss 'em up fights. But I think it'll definitely end in a finish either or.
Yeah, I think that Stewart definitely has a chance to win this fight, but I think Dustin's too technical of a striker, and I believe you're right. He's too big because he's too big. He can't make 185 like Darren can.
No, not with his frame. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, he's a big boy. All right, next. This should be a very telling fight. I think the loser definitely gets their pink slip. Sam Alvey versus Wellington Turman. Now, Alvey has been pulling a bit of a Donald Cerrone lately. He's like winless in his last 6 fights. The exact Donald Cerrone record of his last 6, 5-1. He's been finished in 3 of those. And Wellington Turman, he came in, he's a really good jiu-jitsu fighter. He's got okay striking, but he calls himself the prodigy. And I think that there is one prodigy. No one should ever be able to have that nickname again. And he's gone 1-3 in the UFC, getting KO'd in both of his last 2 performances. How do you see this one going?
It's definitely a must win for both fighters. I don't think there's no one out there that isn't at least a small fan of Sam Alvey. The dude's got great charisma.
Yeah. It's like the nicest guy ever.
Oh, absolutely. But that being said, it's also pretty hard to pick him as a winner. But then again, his opponent is coming off 2 KO losses. So
Alvey can crack.
No, yeah. And I was about to say, Alvey's got some decent power for sure, especially in the clinch work. He loves working the clinch a lot.
Mm-hmm. And he's also got good takedown defense being with Team Quest.
No, absolutely. I just think, like you said, it's a must-win type of deal for both fighters. So hopefully we get the best out of both of them. The one that gives less, I definitely see them kind of getting the boot, especially Sam, because at least with Wellington, he's 25. There is, per se, time to, for him to work and get better. Mm-hmm. The prodigy, I don't necessarily agree with. Maybe
not at all.
The very low level prospect.
Right.
But I'll be rooting for Sam. If he lost, though, I'm not going to sit here and act surprised. You know what I mean? It's a must win for both. And may the best man win, really.
Yeah. Wellington is a whole decade younger than Sam, and I don't know, because he got knocked out by 2 good strikers in his last 2 fights, and Alvey isn't the best striker, but his punches come from the weirdest angles, and he hits so damn hard. Like, he's got so many starch, like, KO victories on his record. It's actually very surprising, considering how not technical of a fighter he is. But
no,
I'm excited for this one. It's going to be good. And then the preliminary main event between Alessio Carico and Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. This one I'm pretty excited for because Abdul started out his career at 10-1 with 10 first-round KO or knockout victories. Most of them were KOs. His only loss was a split decision, and now he's lost his last 3 straight. Meanwhile, Alessio Carico is coming off a first-round head kick knockout over Joaquin Buckley, the early running for knockout of the year, after losing his last 3 straight. So how do you think this one's going to go?
It's another one of those, I mean, not to the same degree, but it's another one of those where Abdul definitely needs a win.
Yeah.
I hope he comes out really aggressive because when he does, that's when he seems to get those first round finishes.
Yeah.
He seems to be a little hesitant in most of his, most recent losses.
Yep.
His last one, he definitely was pretty aggressive, but he seems to gas pretty hard too, which is kind of surprising when you look at his physique. I mean, he's very jacked, but he also looks like he's always in great shape.
Yeah, look at Jerry Cannon here. He's every bit as jacked and he can go 5 rounds.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good point. As far as how I see it going, while we do think of Abdul as like still a little bit of a prospect, he's actually 36.
Yeah.
So, he's getting a little bit older. I don't necessarily see him getting better or really learning a lot of new tricks at that age. He's kind of probably set as who he is. But he's got that power, dude. He's got that freak one-hit power. And I definitely could see him getting it in the first, but if he doesn't get him out of there in the first, it's going to definitely be Alessio's fight for the rest of the fight, really.
Yeah, for sure. I think Alessio definitely has the potential of just picking him apart to a decision. But Abdul, of course, has the chance to knock anybody out in the world at 170 or 185 pounds, whichever weight class he decides to fight at. This one, I think, is a middleweight fight. Yeah, this is a middleweight fight.
185er fight.
But, I mean, Abdul is 36, but with Africans, it's kind of hard to gauge that because there's so many times where they're at their best in their late 30s. It's just because their genetics are so superior to like ours or, Mexicans or whatever. They just are. So I'd really like to see him get a win here. I've always been a fan of Abdul. He reminds me kind of a lot of Hector Lombard because he is a really elite.
Great comparison.
Himself. What's that?
I said that's a great comparison, actually.
Yeah, they're both judo black belts and both can knock anybody out.
I'm surprised we don't see a lot more of that from Abdul too. I mean, being a black belt in judo, you really don't see a lot of like trips, throws.
I'm starting to think that judo is kind of hard to use in MMA because a lot of those throws they use the gi for leverage, and it's very rare you see a judo black belt, whether they're elite or not, use judo effectively in MMA. Like Carl Parisian was able to do it. Ronda Rousey was able to do it. Hector Lombard did it against Jake Shields. That's about it. Yushinori Akiyama was able to, but it's really rare when you see him use judo really effectively in MMA. I think that could be a reason for it. Because even the shorts that you have, you can't grab those to throw anybody with. And even if you could, it's illegal. So, all right, opening up the main card, we got the return of Mahmoud Muradov, who's fighting Gerald Meerschaert. I'm super pumped for this one because I love Mahmoud Muradov. I'm so glad he came back. He's a very dangerous striker. He's really fun to watch. He's super technical. And Gerald Meerschaert kind of needs a win. I think he just got knocked out in his last fight by Ian Heinisch. Make sure I'm right.
No, Gerald's actually got a win. He got a submission win against Bartosz Fabinski.
Yeah, you're right. He got knocked out in his last 2 fights before that. Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not like he's on a hot streak though, for sure. A ton of experience between both of these fighters. I mean, adding their fights together, it's well over 50 fights combined. Definitely a good way to open up the main per se card itself. I definitely probably put Mahmoud as the winner. How he do it, I don't necessarily know at this moment. Maybe probably a decision win. These guys have definitely gone the distance quite a few times, but Gerald's always game too. I mean, his record, 32-14, it doesn't really reflect on how good he really can be.
No, it doesn't. He fights a lot of really good fighters.
No, absolutely. I was about to say, and that lost resume is very filled with, like you said, a lot of good fighters. So, Probably go Mahmoud, but at the same time, again, if Gerald won it, I just wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, just excited to see, like, if you look at the card itself, their records. Hold on a minute. Okay, well, maybe Edson and Chikadze start evening it out. But if you look between just these two men, I think they might have as many fights combined as the rest of the fighters on the main card.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. 32-14 and 25-6. If you factor in Edson and Giga's kickboxing records, it might be more. But
that would definitely start to that would definitely be the deciding factor.
Yeah.
But just a ton of experience between both men. Both have had their highs and lows already in their careers, and they're still relatively young. I mean, 31, 33, that's about where a male starts hitting his absolute peak prime per se. So I think it'll be a good fight.
And how's this for going through adversity? Makhmud Muradov started off his career with a record of 11-6. He has since improved that to 25-6. So he's won his last 14 straight. He got performance of the night bonuses in his last 2 fights with third round knockouts in both. He's 3-0 in the UFC. He has won 5 belts, 5 different belts outside of the UFC. Man, I'm so glad.
I didn't even know that about him. That's amazing, honestly.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. He fought, holy shit, man. He fought 6 times in 2019, 2 in the UFC. And then he didn't fight at all in 2020, and he came back earlier this year to knock out Andrew Sanchez, who had...
Yeah, I remember that fight. That was a good knockout, too.
Yeah, the guy that just KO'd Wellington Turman, he knocked out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be a good one. How about Kevin Lee versus Daniel Rodriguez? This is a good fight. This is a really good fight.
Yeah,
Kevin
I mean,
he's moving back up to welterweight. He's 0-1 at welterweight. But how do you see this going?
As we had kind of talked about beforehand, Kevin Lee to me is just such a big, I guess, not even waste of talent. Like, he's one of those guys where he's good, he's really good, but something just never connects in most of the fight. And usually it's sometimes cardio, or he'll start fading as soon as there's like some adversity to face. And you got to remember, this is the guy that looked us all in the eye and said that he was the one to beat George St. Pierre, which
and Habib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, I mean, back in his early days where he was a little bit on fire still, he definitely said some crazy things. But I guess I got to go with Daniel just because Kevin Lee is wildly inconsistent. I think Daniel has a lot better cardio.
He does.
I don't know. I definitely wouldn't say he's the better wrestler. No. So I think that'd be Kevin's best point of attack, honestly, is try to get him down very early and try to finish him very early. Because if not, Daniel has the pace to go 3 rounds all day.
He does, and he's got the better boxing too. And Daniel also has pretty good takedown defense. And something that I worry about with this is Kevin Lee. I've stood right next to the guy before. He does not have a welterweight frame.
No.
At all. He's very fucking small. Like, honestly, if he wasn't so goddamn dense, 145 would be the perfect weight class for him. But he's pretty damn dense, kind of like Dan Henderson. So 55, I don't think he should be fighting 170, dude. He doesn't have the frame for it. He is 5'9". He does have a 76-inch reach, which is fucking remarkable. Like, he's an inch shorter than George St. Pierre and has the same wingspan as him. And
actually, from what I'm looking at here, I mean, they do screw up on these. He's actually 2 inches shorter, and he's got 77 inches of reach, dude.
Oh, 77 inches. Okay, wait, isn't GSP 5'10"?
Crazy. GSP's a 5'10", I believe. It's showing Kevin right here is 5'8". Oh, but even a 5'9" welterweight, those days are long gone nowadays, man. I mean, back in, per se, George's era where you had like Matt Serra, who was, I think, 5'6", very short.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, those days are long gone. I mean, we got 135ers now that are tipping up to 6'2", 6'3", so 5'8".
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, I don't think 170 is a weight class for him. That don't mean he can't win this fight. Daniel Rodriguez isn't a ranked opponent, but he's still a really tough opponent. I think it works out better for him than the Sean Brady fight would have. But
that's true.
With Kevin Lee being a waste of talent, man, he's going to be 29 years old in a week. All right. And when he first came on, like he's a D2 wrestler, you know, he had a really successful wrestling career in school and in college. And then he got into MMA. The only guy to beat him was Ali Quinta for a while. And then, you know, Leonardo Santos knocked him out, which he was young. And Santos is actually really underrated on the feet. It didn't surprise me that much. And then, dude, he just went on a fucking tear. But the problem is, like, he went from 16-2 to 16-2 to 18-6 over his last 6 fights. And every time he loses, he has excuse after excuse after excuse. He never owns up to it. That guy was better than me that night. It's always, and I mean, he's like a Diaz with the excuses. And it's sad because it's like, dude, Kevin, you could literally go down as the best ever, dude. You have every physical attribute. You're strong as shit. You can wrestle. Your striking has come along so well. Like you're one of the best in the sport at taking the back and sinking in a choke afterward. Like,
he's really good at that, which is surprising because most wrestlers not only don't attack the back a lot, but they also give up their back, and he really doesn't. No. He does incorporate very good per se jiu-jitsu technique with his wrestling.
Yes.
Again, it's almost like watching new age Chris Weidman, where he's damn good still. You know, he's still even has a pretty solid chin, but
yeah, he does.
There's just something very key always missing. And I think it's just that adversity. Some fighters can really pull through adversity and some just don't. Mm-hmm. And I think Kevin Lee is definitely one of those people. He looks really good when the fight's going his way, but the minute it's not, he's never turning it around usually.
Yeah, and a lot of guys are like that, man. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to fight through adversity. When someone's beating you up, like, you know, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, like a lot of people think it is.
No, absolutely not. I agree.
The feature fight of the night, you're gonna have to do this because, like we said earlier, like I usually wait until episode 9 or 10 to come out to binge watch the show because I can't stand watching one episode a week. I wasn't able to do that. So tell me about the feature fight and the co-main event, the Ultimate Fighter finale fights.
Yeah, so that's Brian Battle and Gilbert. I hope I'm saying this right. Urbina. Very interesting because Gilbert actually shouldn't be here. You're gonna love this kid when you do catch the Ultimate Fighter. His name was Trayshawn Gore, and absolute best prospect middleweight they had during the whole season, I think. But he ended up getting injured. So Gilbert is actually filling in for him. But I also do kind of like it because Gilbert has had 2 brothers, not including himself, that have actually been on the Ultimate Fighter.
Oh, that's that guy. Okay. Yeah. Hector Urbina. And there's another one.
I can't remember the other one's name. But it's just kind of nice to see that everything worked out to his favor in that aspect. And he is really fucking good, dude. He's very well mixed. He does a little bit of everything pretty good. Jack of all trades type, master of none. But I love Brian Battle during the whole season. I believe he was even the last pick. He's very unorthodox. He strikes from very, very different angles, and he has some good power. For a middleweight, that boy is very big as a middleweight. I mean, very big as far as height and even stature. Well, height is about 6'1", 6'2", but he's just built like a fucking freight train. As far as how I see the fight go, I think it's going to be a size matters type thing. Gilbert's only 5'8". That is very small for a middleweight.
He's only 5'8".
Yeah. And I mean, it shows because he's very well built, but Battle's got some very significant reach. I think Gilbert only has like 73, while Battle has 77.
So Gilbert's almost like a typical Ultimate Fighter veteran. He went on it because the chance was there, but he's really a welterweight.
Yeah, I honestly, even win or lose, I could probably see him dropping down to welterweight. I don't think he'd have much problem either. But I guess I see the fight going towards Battle's way. He's got good pace, good pressure, very unorthodox. And he's also more deserving because, I mean, like I said, last pick to being in the finale, it's always a good story. Kevin Gastelum was the last pick too. And look where he's ended up. You know, he's done some great things in his UFC career, even if he's on a bit of a loss streak.
Oh, dude, he beat world champions in 4 of his last 5 wins.
No, yeah, absolutely. If Kevin, if he could just be disciplined and get down to 170 where he belongs,
I know,
the
dude.
man would already probably be a champ.
I know.
He's pretty damn close.
It's so sad. Like, just discipline yourself, bro.
Them tacos, man. That's what he said is his weakness. He loves tacos, and I'm like, I can't really blame the man.
Yeah, I can't either. They're pretty great. I'm white and I love tacos. He's actually from Arizona.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely give it to Battle, and definitely keep an eye out for that kid, win or lose, because I bet he's going to be a pretty solid prospect for a while to come. He is only 26 as well. Gilbert's only 25, so
that's awesome. That's good.
As far as right now, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty wide open and limitless for both of what we can expect for these two guys. Might even be a champion someday. You never really know.
No, you don't. How about Ricky Tecios and Brady Highstand?
That's a
right,
tough
Tecios?
Wait a minute.
Did they put a woman on Ricky's?
That's so great. I don't know if my crappy camera can pick up on this, but they put a woman on Ricky's photo.
Yeah, dude, Google's UFC sucks dick, man. Like, they fuck everything up. They fuck their records up. They do all sorts of shit. It's not.
So I like both of these guys. Honestly, I think you'll see a lot of the 135ers, even the ones that lost, getting a nice little contract from the UFC. All of these guys brought it. Brady, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so Brady is he's a 22-year-old from, I want to say, Washington, volunteer firefighter.
He's the blonde kid, right?
Yep. Yeah, super, super young. But when he goes in there, there's definitely a lot of experience. He doesn't have the best cardio for a 135er. I think a lot of that's due to people think like a 22-year-old is supposed to be at its peak, and really it's not. He's still filling into his own body. But Ricky is like a 135 Diego Sanchez as far as like his mentality. He's always about like good energy, the universe, shit like that. The dude brings it though every fight. I see Ricky winning it just because like I just said, Brady does definitely have some issues with cardio. He's really good at wrestling, but Ricky teaches jiu-jitsu, you know, at a gym, very respectable gym too. So I definitely just see it going Ricky's way unless Brady does something drastic in the very early rounds, or even maybe takes like 2 rounds hard and backpedals on the third. Yeah. But I just can't see it happening. Ricky is going to be in his face all night.
I think Ricky's probably going to win because I'm looking up their records now. He beat a 6-0 Steve Garcia when he was in Bellator. He's beat a 4-1-1 opponent. He's beat a 10-2 opponent. 4-3. He's 10-2. Brady is 5-1. Brady's 5 wins. God damn it. Come on. Come over. Oh, wow. His first one is, that's an amateur fight. All right. So his pro wins come against an 0-2, 0-0, 0-4, 0-6, lost to a 9-5, and then beat a 1-12.
Wow. How the hell do you even keep your job when you're 1-12?
I know. He fought one fighter that had 1 win on his record, and he was 1-12. Everybody else had a negative record aside from the debut opponent.
I just don't even just imagine being a surgeon and being like, yeah, I did 13 surgeries today, and going, how'd it go? Oh, 1 out of 12 made it, you know?
I know, right? Fuck, man. Well, it's probably to get people paychecks, to get them out there, you know? Like Jordan Wright, that fucking Anthony Hardong Taekwondo black belt, like all of his opponents, he's got a lot of first round finishes. He hasn't beat a single opponent that has a win on his record except for Ike Villanueva.
Yeah, no, good point. Yeah, I mean, and again, I think even if Brady gets fucking demolished, he'll still get 2 or 3 more fights afterwards, just because, I mean, at 22 years old, dude, there's so much room to grow. I mean, he's not even at his strongest right now. He's 22 years old. I mean, that's like I'm older than him.
Right. Yeah, so am I, man. I'm fucking 3 years older than, well, almost 3 years older than him.
No, yeah, dude. I mean, that's so crazy when you're that young, per se, at that high level of an organization. But yeah, right now, dude, it's Ricky's time, and I think he's gonna make an impact even in the 135 division in total. It's hard to say though. It's a super tough division. You could even argue the most stacked right now. But
I think it is.
Very excited for that fight.
I mean, Tony's gone, Connor is gone, fucking Kevin Lee is gone. None of them are 155 anymore. Habib, yeah, I think 135 is the most stacked division right now.
No, for sure.
All right, let's get into the main event, man. That's what everybody wants to hear about, these two fucking kickboxing wizards.
Buddy.
Edson Barboza versus Giga Chikadze. Now, I want to start out by saying Barboza is 25-3 as a professional kickboxer with 22 knockouts. Giga Chikadze is 38-6 as a pro kickboxer, also with 22 knockouts. Giga has, man, his Wikipedia page is fucking up right now. He has a black belt in some kind of karate. I almost think it's Shotokan, but I can't tell because this thing is being a piece of shit right now. Edson Barboza has black belts in both Taekwondo and Muay Thai. And the way he fights definitely reflects that, because he's like the most well-rounded striker in the entire sport. Like, go ahead, tell everybody what you told me earlier about him. The only fighter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Edson Barboza is actually the only person in UFC history to this date that's recorded a leg kick TKO, body kick TKO, and even a head kick TKO, as we all know. As far as Chikadze goes,
also a knee to the face.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As far as Chikadze goes, I like the guy a lot. I think he's got a lot going for him. But really besides Cub Swanson, who, again, another guy, not a waste of talent, but you just give that man an easy fight for one day in his life, you know?
Yeah, like, I know, dude. Cub has fought.
He could lose 5 in a row, and they're going to be like, you want to fight top 5? You know, and he's always going to accept it. But,
I think the only easy fight he's been given is Chrome Gracie, and he just got submitted in his last 2 fights going into that fight.
No, yeah, exactly. And you can definitely tell they set it up for Cron just for that
reason.
Man,
they wanted Cron to win, for sure.
For sure. But Barboza, I mean, his resume, his record, his just about everything speaks for itself.
He's fought all of the best.
Chikadze is crazy if he thinks he's going to be TKO and Edson with a body kick. It's not going to happen.
All the body kick.
I swear to God, that man's allergic to fat. I mean,
I know, right? Well, dude,
he's the most shredded guy I've ever seen in my life.
The thing about Edson Barboza, and we said that when he was a lightweight too. But you know what the thing is about Barboza? I don't know if you ever heard this or not, but it's on his Wikipedia page. I just clicked on it. I'm going to read it again, all out. He was born prematurely at 28 weeks. Babies are supposed to be born at 40 weeks, I think. So, yeah, that's 3 months shy of a year. 40 weeks you're supposed to be born. He was born at 28 weeks. That is fucking 3 months early. And he was given a 50-50 chance of surviving past infancy. Oh, man, there was another one that said how small he was, and they fucking took that away.
At 28 weeks, he was probably like...
He was like this big, dude. He was fucking tiny. Like, it said they could fit him in the palm of his hand or something. He was so small. It's remarkable that he lived. I don't know why they took that other part of it all.
He was definitely an incubator baby at 28 weeks for sure. Lucky he even lived to be where he is.
Dude, my little sister was born a fucking month early, and she almost died. Half the shit in her wasn't developed. 2 months before that, like, that's a miracle. Especially for him to be a professional athlete that takes damage. Like, that's crazy.
Just look at the man, dude. And that's kind of why, like, I mean, the man, you know, and this isn't like per se mall Muay Thai, you know, swipe a credit card and get your black belt. That dude can take so much damage. Most of his finishes where he has been finished, it's due to exhaustion. Barboza doesn't have the best gas tank.
Yeah.
And I guess if I'm going to critique him on anything is whenever he gets ready to strike, his movement stops. He immediately gets like ready to plant the feet.
Kind of like Jose Aldo. He's stationary.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're very similar in a lot of aspects.
Giga kind of is too, though, honestly. I mean, he's got more footwork, but he's kind of stationary when he strikes too.
No, yeah. I definitely just see Edson taking this, and it's nothing against Chikadze. He's very good. I don't see Barboza losing a lot right now at 145. And if he wants to make a kickboxing match with Barboza, I don't think Barboza has a problem with that.
No, not
I
at
see
all.
him keeping his hands high like a lot of Muay Thai fighters do. And he's probably going to start ripping leg kicks extremely early.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this fight, man. I have no idea how it's going to go because I know it's going to be a kickboxing fight. And, man, it's going to be crazy. Like we saw when Paul Felder fought Edson Barboza twice. We got someone who's at least like 3 times as good of a striker as Paul Felder fighting him now. And Paul Felder is a fucking great kickboxer, dude. He's so good at it. Like,
no, yeah, I feel bad. I wish his body could have held up with how good he is. But
yeah,
I mean, even in those fights, dude, he got fucked up. You know
I wish
what I
he
mean?
could have got some of those split decision wins. You know, he lost like 4 split decisions, 3 of what the only one that he didn't arguably win was against Rafael dos Anjos. Like,
yeah, that's very true.
He arguably beat Dan Hooker. He arguably beat Ross Pearson. Fuck, who was the other one? I don't remember. He arguably beat him too, though. So, yeah, this is going to be really interesting. Let's see. Barboza is 5'11" with a 75-inch reach. Giga, again, this thing is – let's see what his dimensions are.
I have Giga at 6 foot here. Is he really 6
Yeah,
feet?
he's 6
I feel
foot.
like he's – really? Damn.
I just don't know what his reach is because this thing –
74. So it's pretty damn neck and neck, honestly,
Yeah,
as far
that's
as
pretty
height and reach
similar.
goes.
Giga's 33 years old. That's a little surprise. I thought he was like 31. He spent a lot of time kickboxing, obviously. So Edson Barboza is like 34, I think. He's 35.
No, yeah, Barboza's starting to hit the end of the twilight, per se, of his career, but
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
definitely still there. I've never looked at Barboza and really thought he's missed a step at all, especially at this 145 division. How he even makes the weight.
I have no idea, man. And the only fight he lost at 145, he won too. Like everybody knows he beat Dan Ige. Everyone.
No, yeah, that was bullshit. I agree too.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible. So I think I'm gonna go against you and pick Giga Chikadze for this.
No worries, man.
I don't know he's gonna win. I don't know how this fight's gonna go, but I think Barboza's been through so many wars at this point. And it doesn't take fight out of him, we've noticed, but Giga I feel like he's every bit as technical. I don't think he's as powerful, but I think he's every bit as technical.
Oh, absolutely.
This is going to be a really good fight. I'm so glad they signed this fight because they got a lot of professional kickboxers at 145 pounds right now. And it's so exciting. And the ones that aren't professional kickboxers, look, we got Chan Sung Jung. We got fucking Alexander Volkanovski. We got Max Holloway. We got Yair Rodriguez. We got such wicked strikers at 145
What's
right
the
now.
Boston boy's name? Calvin Kattar.
Yeah, Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett. Like, there's so many. And then we got other guys that are kickboxers, like Hakeem Dawodu, Charles Jourdain. Like, dude, it's so exciting right now to be an MMA fan.
No, absolutely. The 135 to 155, like that little sweet pot division right there, dude. You could put anyone from any part of that division, like as far as rankings go, and it's an exciting fight.
They've always been my favorite divisions, always, because I started out watching the WEC like right after they got rid of their upper weight classes.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to say about this, I kind of wish Jose Aldo stayed at 145 so he could fight Edson Barboza.
Yeah, I mean, that be a tough one nowadays, honestly. I'd probably go Barboza just because Shane Burgos is a good example. Shane tried lighting up Barboza's body. And this is a man that's done real Muay Thai. That dude gets punched in the gut probably 100 times a damn day.
Yeah.
You're not getting that body shot KO off Barboza. If this was back in the day where, you know, they'd be going leg kick for leg kick,
dude, that would
I'd find it very interesting at that point.
Barboza's the more diverse striker. I mean, Aldo doesn't throw head kicks. He doesn't throw body kicks. He only throws the whole leg. He'll throw knees to the body or the face, and then he'll throw his punches. Barboza throws literally everything. He's like really, really powerful Anderson Silva with spin and wheel kicks.
Yeah, dude, the
Like,
spinning wheel kicks, man, are shit a legend right there.
dude,
But yeah, no, that would be a great fight to see for sure. Maybe Barboza can somehow get down to 135.
yeah, there's no way.
I mean,
man.
people looked at Aldo and they were like, he's gonna look like a crackhead at 135.
Dude, yeah, I thought it was
And
such a
somehow
terrible
he looks
idea.
really damn good.
Yeah, I thought it was such a terrible idea. I don't think it's good for his health, but he's a legend, man. I love
For
Jose
sure.
Aldo. All right, so let's see. My next day off is Monday. You want to do a post fight on Monday with me?
Yeah, that's my day off. I'm more than that.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Like and subscribe if you like the video. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Justice.
Thank you, buddy.
Talk to you soon.
Sounds good.